Today we're back on our mission area, checking out significant parts of the female body. Today it's ladies' night again, and we are looking at the NUX MG-30, and you asked me what I do to adjust the input volume of these modeling units to maybe different guitars with different pickups and different output. And I made a video where I used the Valeton GP200, and I have to say it was very easy to adjust this unit, but there's another one in the budget modeling price range which I use quite often in my videos, which is the NUX MG-30, and it seems to be a popular unit because it's very good sounding, but also very cheap. And but this unit seemed to be a little bit more difficult to handle when you want to get a tight high gain tone. So let me open the editor for you. It's where do we have it? Perfectly prepared as always, as you can see. I cannot find the editor, and let's see, it's here. Finally we have it, and this is the tone which I was playing in the intro. Kind of a nice lead tone, but yeah, it's let me turn off the delay, the modulation effects. So it's basically this. Sounds tight to me. And it's a PV amp, as you can see. PV amp model 5150 with a stock amp. By the way, I'm selling these high gain preset packs for all of these units. So if you would like to get one, I guarantee you can get the best kick-ass high gain tones with these preset packs for few money. Please contact me on Facebook. Yeah, and then you will get all these beautiful tones, which I'm using in my videos. Anyway, so back to the topic. Yeah, we have the 5150 here, and it's tight. This patch was designed for this guitar. It's the Harley Benton Fusion 3 with the Roswell pickups. As you can see, I'm perfectly dressed so that I can play red guitars because it fits. I don't wear a red shirt. So I brought another beautiful red guitar, my favorite one optical wise, which is the Schecter Banshee, made in Korea. Kick-ass guitar with a compound radius and with EMG pickups. And these EMG pickups, they behave quite different from these Roswell pickups here. The Roswells are more or less low output pickups, in my opinion. Maybe PF-like voiced, and yeah. But we will see what will happen if we change the guitars. So that is the tone with the what is it? Harley Benton Fusion. Let me switch to the other guitar. Beautiful background noise. So I don't know if you can hear it in the video, but it has way more gain. Very oversaturated in my opinion. Can you hear this? Not very nice. So what should we do? Usually what people try to do if they know about guitars is they would like to reduce the input signal a little bit. And some modeling units have a global input level control, but here, as you can see, we don't have one. At least I cannot see it here. And honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of changing the input volume, because of course I can do it, but usually it's not that flexible because it's reducing the overall volume. And I can tell you with these pickups, they have a different characteristics than the other ones. They're a lot more mid-focused. They have less bass, but they have an overall higher output. So maybe you have to tweak your preset that it fits to the guitar. And anyway, first of all, we can try the trick with the input volume, but as we don't have a global input volume control here, we can reduce the volume in the first block of the chain here. So as you can see, it's a steel singer drive, which I'm using to boost the amp. I'm reducing the volume. So it does the job here. And another trick would be to use an EQ in front of the amp. But unfortunately in this unit you have only one EQ block, which I'm already using here. So if I turn that off, you have a very annoying sound. And I would have to adjust my preset. So this would not be an option for me with this unit. And yeah, I contacted the NUX company and asked for an EQ in this slot here, which is called CMP for compression, but it has the booster and drives and anything. Changed it now, which is a little bit annoying. Anyway, but they say it's not possible because maybe they don't have enough CPU for that. Anyway, we don't have an EQ here, but we have different boost pedals, as you can see. And these pedals have different characters. So usually there are a few pedals which I am always trying out. The Tube Screamer, for example, is a model which is pushing the mids in the maybe 700 or 800 hertz region, and not that much below that or above that. So it's creating more or less a peak in that region, which is good. It creates saturation without a flubbiness or harshness in the top end. So it's working with most of the amps, especially very well with these amps which have a very scooped tone. So maybe the Rectos, also the PV. If you dial out the mids and the PV. Tube Screamer is working fine, as you can see here. So it's always a good starting point, because it's pushing the mids, and that is the key to get a tight high gain tone. But as you can see here, maybe I don't crank the level and I don't set the drive to 0, which is what people would do usually. If I do that, it's working. We have maybe a more saturated tone. But I'd recommend to play around with that. For me, this would be maybe a little bit too, well, too dull. Of course, we can crank the tone. Let's see what that does. But that would be a little bit too saturated and too harsh for me. So usually what I do with the NUX especially is I set it maybe like that, everything to 12 o'clock. Try out how these pedals sound, and in most situations they sounded fine then. At least the pedals that I try usually. And I can tell you already there are some pedals which are boosting a little bit of a wider range. Maybe the Boss Distortion DS1. That would be the choice for me if I would need more saturation or more distortion coming from the pedal, or otherwise with amps that don't have that much distortion like the PV. But here, with the Recto or also the PVs, Tube Screamer seems to work always. I personally choose the Steel Singer because it had a nice, even a little bit clearer tone for me. It's not, the thing with the tube screamer is sometimes it gets muddy in the mids. And if you dial out the mids, which are coming from the tube screamer, if you dial them out here in the tone stack, it's working with some amps, but with others maybe it's not working so well. It always depends on the frequencies which are affected by the mid control and the tone stack of the amp, which is always different. And as I don't have another EQ here, I use this for other reasons. Yeah, I choose the steel singer because the steel singer didn't have this annoying muddiness in it, as I call it. And you will see this maybe in most of my patches if you purchase the preset packs. So yeah. But another thing which I discovered here in the NUX, or maybe let me change the guitar first. I can show it to you much better. Because these EMG pickups, they're really easy to handle in my opinion as far as high gain is concerned. Because as they're already very mid-focused, you don't need to boost the signal that much, you don't have to cut that much off the signal. But with these pickups here, let me show you how they sound if I turn off the steel singer. You can hear now, nice, but not high gain. And if we don't use the pedal and we crank the gain here, we get, of course, more gain, but also flubbiness in the bass, especially if you play the C note in standard tuning here. That is not usable for me. And of course I could reduce the gain, but we need gain. So I discovered here that the master control is somehow also affecting the gain behavior of the amp. And of course that's the case with some amps, but some real amps, but not with all, and of course it's also affecting it differently. Depends on where the master control is located in the amp circuit. So if it's controlling the output of the preamp, then it's maybe not affecting the distortion, because the distortion is already happening in the preamp. And if it's located after after a gain station, which seems to be the case here, then yeah, it can lead to unwanted flubbiness if you crank it. So I'd recommend with most amps here to be careful with the gain and the master control. If you cannot get rid of the flubbiness, try to play around with the master control. Maybe I can show you that with, for example, the Rector model. So we have a Rector patch, turn off the steel singer. Well, it's not flubby. Also, we can crank the gain. And we don't have high gain. But also it's not flubby. It has lots of bass frequencies like the real amp has. It's still not flubby because not that much gain. If you crank the master here, suddenly we have these flubbiness. So here you can hear it significantly, I hope, that the master control is affecting the gain structure. Or the overall sound. And if you reduce the master, you can compensate that by raising the level, which I did here in the power amp section. Also, you can raise the bias, which means the maybe the power amp tubes have more power, but that also changes the sound. Usually, it leads to a little bit more mid-focus sound, and also maybe it adds some power amp distortion. But play around with that. Sometimes it's a nice texture of your tone. So here it's also nice, I think. You can see I reduced the mids here, but so somehow here the master control seems to have a key function in this algorithm. And now I have a more or less, well, rock tone, high gain tone with these low output pickups without any boost. By the way, if you purchase my preset packs, I strongly recommend that you adjust or play around here with the volume control, at least to adjust the preset to your guitar, because of course the patch is designed at a certain input level with this guitar set, and it will not work with every guitar because the guitars come with different outputs, so different pickups. They will work, but they work better if you adjust them a little bit, at least the input volume. So yeah, here you can hear that there's no flubbiness now, although I don't boost or cut the signal. Just by setting the master right, and also the other things here. Also, what I recommend if you are using my presets, you can move the microphone. So I tend to create the preset a little bit more pleasant to the ear, with less highs, which may be nice when playing at home or also at loud volumes. If you want to record, you need more highs, and then I have a much brighter tone usually, but the presets are not designed for that. But you can achieve that very often if you move the microphone, which is mostly not the cone. You can move it to the left here, and then you have these highs, which are very helpful for recording. That's a very nice feature of this unit. So yeah, already very nice. Turn on this. Have even more gain, and also in the other scenes, of course, the delays turn on, and also the widener here. This will be maybe too much gain for me, but anyway, maybe some people need that. So let's check out some other amps. Here we have the VH4. That is some preset which is not in the pack, I think, because it doesn't use a stock IR. Maybe you can check out some from the pack. Where do we have? I think they're here. Maybe let's check out the sold data. Very creamy lead tone. Like it a lot. This amp was reworked, I think, in the newest firmware, which I'm using now. That was one where I couldn't get a decent, tight high gain tone before the firmware update. Also, you have to play around with the master. Okay, and yeah, as I said, play around with that volume here. Also with the gain, if you need more gain, just add it here in the pedal. It will work. These pedals, they create nice gain if you don't overdo it and if you use it together with the gain coming from the amp. By themselves, they sound horrible, I think, if you play only these distortion pedals in the clean channel, but yeah, you can use a little bit of gain from the pedals. Again, the trick with the microphone, if you need more highs. And let's check out what this amp model does. Flubby as hell without the pedal. Old friend. Reduce the master, reduce the gain. Yeah. But I think I couldn't get that much higher than this. I don't know. Let's check out the other guitar with slightly more output. May work then, even without the pedal. I think it's not enough gain for me, and also it starts to get flubby here. So yeah, I think with this amp I'd recommend to use the pedal. No, the flubbiness is gone. So yeah, it seems to work. Right, let's check out another model. Here we have the Plexi preset. No high gain. Add the steel singer. It's working as expected, and as you can see here, it's quite different, the setting, because I cranked the master, which is something which yeah, well, the real Plexi doesn't have a master control, but it has maybe a volume, which is the gain control, and you can crank it. Usually people crank it to set it in or get some power amp distortion. So I tried that out here, and it worked suddenly. So with the other amp models, as you could hear, it was flubby as hell with the master above maybe 12 o'clock. Here, as you don't have that much distortion coming from the amp, even if you crank gain and master, it's working. I have to say I personally like this Plexi preset a lot, and I dial out maybe a little bit more of the mids. That's just my preference. And of course, if you want to have a solo gain, you need a pedal. Steel singer seems to work, but if you need more gain, then maybe I would choose another pedal with a little bit more distortion. Here we have the red, I think. And it seems to work somehow. Gets very scratchy, and of course very noisy, so you have to adjust maybe the sensitivity of the noise gate here in that case. You have this Plexi, maybe Ingwe tone if you use this, but to me it's very bright. So usually I would choose the maybe the Boss OD. This seems to work also very nice in this case. And of course it's a very mid-focused sound. So usually I would dial out maybe some mids or use another microphone like the SM57, which has usually not that much mids. Yeah, so in this case maybe if you want to get more gain, then you have to use a distortion pedal which is boosting more frequencies. In this unit I personally don't like this Boss distortion that much because it creates somehow a lot of background noise and a lot of highs. In other modeling units it worked fine. But anyway, here are well, here are some pedals that will work. So, in most cases here you can get very far with the tube screamer, or also with the steel singer. Because also if you use more gain out of these pedals here, it's still working. And if you like Marshallish tones, usually for high gains in this unit I would recommend the other Marshall model here, the DSL 100. Can get a little bit higher with the master here, as you can see. Very tight and nice tone, in my opinion. Let's save it. And yeah, also for leads. Nice, but I'm running out of time now. So yeah, I hope this video helps you to get high gain tones out of this unit. But of course you will get the best high gain tones if you purchase my preset packs. So please contact me if you want to get them. And subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.